Welcome to Good Investing.
I'm so glad to be back.
It's so good to be back. I love seeing your face. Anytime I get an excuse to, it's great.
Same.
Guys, we actually hang out outside of the podcast too.
Yes.
We just
Tomorrow
can't get
dinner.
enough.
Can't wait.
Yeah, good dinner tomorrow. We just cannot get enough of each other.
Yeah. But I do miss Willow. I haven't seen her in a little bit. I only seen pictures and I miss her. You have to bring her back.
Willow's my little baby, probably 6 months old by the time the recording comes out. But
oh my goodness, time flies.
She's so cute. And your kids are off still at summer camp.
They're at summer camp. They're keeping busy during the day so mama can work during the day.
I love that. So we can record our podcast without interruption.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm Rachel Grunn, you probably know, and this is my co-host,
Andrea Swick.
And we are so happy that you guys decided to tune back in for another week of Good Investing.
Would y'all just drop some feedback for us on Instagram or Facebook and make sure you're following us on those channels.
Mm-hmm.
But then tell us how much you love us, please. Come on.
If you don't love us, keep it to yourself. That's not the kind of feedback we're after. We just want, we have fragile egos. We positive reinforcement only, please.
Yeah.
Okay, Andrea, would you like to introduce our guest for today?
Yeah, so today we have Justin Frank. He's the founder and managing partner for Easy Street Equity. He graduated from Central Washington University in 2010 with a Bachelor of Science in Paramedicine. For the past decade, he has served the community with his work as a firefighter and paramedic, all while growing a real estate portfolio. He has owned and has actively participated in single-family residences, self-storage, hard money lending, residential fix and flips, triple net lease properties, and has a specific focus on large multifamily apartments. Justin resides in Washington State and is inspired daily by his wife and 2 daughters.
Oh my gosh, what a resume. Justin, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you, Justin.
Yeah, I'm super excited to be here. Yeah, I'm really excited to be here. As I told you guys, this is new stuff for me. I am excited to be with you guys and a little nervous, but I'm glad to be here.
We can't tell. Tell. You're doing great.
Okay, good. I'm not read yet.
No, you're not read yet. Exactly.
Okay, good.
And people listening on the podcast wouldn't be able to tell anyway, but if you'd like to see how red Justin does get, head over to our YouTube.
Yeah.
Justin, so tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, your beautiful family.
Yeah. So I am from Washington State, born and raised in the Pacific Northwest. I am married with 2 young daughters. I have a 4-year-old Addison, and my youngest is 2 years old. And we have been up here. My wife and I have been up here in the Tacoma, Seattle area now for the past decade or so, as I've been working at fire department. And my wife is a physician's assistant. We love it up here because it is so beautiful outdoors. We live on a river that's glacier fed off of the Mount Rainier. So we are in a great spot up here. Got into real estate investing about 5 years ago, and it's really changed my life dramatically.
Wow.
That's awesome. Were you there when there was a show called Millionaire? What was it? It was something about, so Grant Cardone was on it, but one of the cities featured.
Yes. Oh gosh,
Tacoma.
Yeah, I'm right next to Tacoma.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about. It's where they take a millionaire or billionaire and they give them $1.
They drop them in a city, and one of the cities was Tacoma. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if you were part of that show at all.
No, gosh, no, I wasn't. I did watch a few episodes of it because I remember they had shaved his head, made him kind of look like a different individual and all that. I think what is Undercover Billionaires? I think is what it's called.
What it was exactly. Yeah.
Justin consulted on it. He didn't need to be on it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I was more behind the scenes on that one.
Yeah, exactly. So you are a firefighter, correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Wow. So how does a firefighter in Washington State find not only just real estate investing, but commercial real estate investing? Tell us about that journey.
Yeah. I've always had an interest in real estate. I've never thought of it as an investment vehicle until 5 years ago or so. For me, it was always just oh gosh, that's beautiful. I'd love to own that. It was more of just a personal thing. And then I kind of had a couple of my, I call them my OS moments. And I won't use that. Yeah.
I can
So
fill it in.
yeah,
Mac
yeah.
OS? I'm not sure.
Mac OS, yeah.
Exactly. So my father he became terminally ill about 5 years ago, and he was not financially prepared at all. Left my mother in a really weird spot to have a very, we'll call it limited income. And so for me, I remember sitting there and I was like, man, my dad had a good job. He had all these things. I thought he would be prepared for this. And he wasn't, because he lost a lot in that like 2008, 2010 time. And so I don't think he never told us, but he never really recovered from it. So it was kind of a scary moment for me where I started thinking a little deeper, like, maybe I should start looking into some different things. Then I started having kids, and I was like, I don't want to leave my kids in the position that I was in when my father got sick. And so oddly enough, my wife and I had a boat. We had nowhere to store our boat. So I was looking for storage. I found storage that was an hour away from us. I brought the boat out there. It was an older man. He developed this property, turned it into storage. And I'm like, what made you want to do this? And he's like, I had this 2 acres of property and my friend was doing this. So I gave it a shot. I didn't know what to do with it. He developed it, filled it up in a matter of days. And so I told my wife, I'm like, it was my aha moment. Like, hey, I think we could do real estate. Like we could like secure our future, make some money, do some different things with real estate. And I got on Craigslist. I started searching real estate for sale, self-storage for sale. And I found this really big dump of self-storage. I contacted the individual. He said, yeah, I want to sell it. I live in Spokane, which is 5 hours away from the property. And I want to sell this thing because it's kind of underperforming. I had no idea what I was doing. I started calling some folks because I didn't have the money. I'm like, hey, I think I found this property. Its storage is supposed to be really good. And everybody's like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Well, I found this real estate agent who said, hey, I got a brother who's an investor. He would love to partner with you on this. Got on the horn with him and brought him out to the property. And he said, yes, let's do this. This looks awesome. I'm kind of like, okay. So anyways, that's kind of,
that didn't look awesome.
it was a nightmare. Like, I mean, I when I went out there with him, it gave me some confidence when he stepped out of his vehicle. He goes, yep, sold. Let's do this. What's your part? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I have zero experience at all. So anyways, I almost wanted to walk away from the deal because it was such a wreck. But then the investor, he got out. And like I said, 2 seconds into getting there, he's like, yeah, this looks good. Let's do it. Let's do it. And so then I see this individual who's ultimately very successful. I thought, he's interested in this. I think this could be something. And so that's kind of where it started to unfold for me. But really what got me going in this was what happened with my father. And then the fact that I was having kids, and I just wanted to create something where I could pass some long-term wealth on to them and ultimately spend more time with my family. That's my goal. Time with my family, doing what I love.
Yeah. That's such a solid why. It's our why too.
For sure.
Because that's like, you need something to motivate you to get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
And sometimes just like making money isn't the thing. It's like, what is this? What are the implications for my family if I get out of bed today and pound the pavement? So tell us more about the assets that you're currently invested in and which one that is your favorite or which one you're focusing on right now.
Yeah. And do you still have that public storage unit? How did it go?
Yeah. That was so one of my first investments, one of the most difficult investments, but one of the best, I would say, return on investment from an educational standpoint and even from a financial standpoint. So we did sell out on that one last year because the individual I was working with, though he's a great man, they were kind of growing beyond me, and I felt like more of just a limited partner. Like I was just there. I brought them the deal, but I wasn't growing with them. So they actually bought me out. And when I say they, his other financial partner he had with him, they bought me out, and I moved on to bigger and better things because I had become more educated and whatnot. So that was one of my best. Right now, currently, we have half a dozen or so single families that we still own between Washington State and actually Western Pennsylvania area. And then we have a triple net lease property that is in the Tacoma area. We don't have any storage any longer, though that's in the back of my mind for future. I love that asset class, but right now our main focus is multifamily, because I've found a really good. I really love the team that I have with multifamily. And so we've really decided to focus there. It's really a proven asset, I feel. And so that's kind of where we're focused right now is on multifamily.
And so how did you find out about multifamily investing? And then are you an active or a passive investor, a GP or an LP?
Both, actually. So we both are general partners and limited partners. So we're investing on both sides, both as a business and then just passively. And I found multifamily long ago, but I think like most people, I just felt like I wasn't qualified. So we only have been investing in real estate for 5 years or so, and we've done a ton, I say, within this 5-year period. But I didn't feel qualified or maybe financially ready to get into something as big as multifamily. And so I thought that I needed to continue to build by myself and build by myself and build by myself. And then one day when I was experienced enough and I had this big bank account, I could go purchase apartments by myself, which was a huge mistake. And so I actually got in contact with a couple of different groups and mentors and started learning more and found that like, holy cow, I can do this. And it doesn't have to be by myself. It could be with a team of people, which will make my life way easier. And so that's how I found my path into multifamilies. I just kept talking to people and learning and realized like, it's not too early. I can do this right now. And so then I just hopped on board.
And you started with passive investing?
Actually, yeah, we did. So we started with a small position passively just to kind of learn. And then we quickly rolled right over into a co-GP spot. Yeah.
That's awesome. I think, the main reason why Andrea and I started Good Investing was to educate people about how accessible these types of investments are. Because I've said it so many times, people think it's reserved for the undercover billionaires, the Grant Cardones of the world. Right. And it's not. Like, that's the beauty of syndication. Yeah. That's the beauty of partnership, of leverage, that you are able to partner with people, even in a limited partnership role as a passive investor, and still receive all the benefits that the active partners do.
Because they still are co-owners.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. So, you don't own a share or a stock. You own an actual percentage of equity in an actual property.
Yeah, it's huge.
So Justin, I really want to know what you feel like the future of apartment investing is. Do you see apartments becoming more demand or less demand? Kind of, what do you see the future of that?
Yeah, I actually think it's going to continue to grow. I think the demand is going to be increased because especially when you're in a market like myself and you see inflation among real estate and goods and all that, cost of living is going higher. I think that what we'll see is more folks are going to be forced essentially to live in apartments because they'll be affordable. Whereas as a lot of homes with interest rates on the rise and just cost of living on the rise, homes are kind of becoming less affordable. So I think apartments will be more affordable. And I also think too that these days there is a larger demographic of people who want to be in that like high density living within a city where they have access to gyms and grocery stores and all those things. So I still think that there's a lot of that's the left, and not a lot of people want to be homeowners. I don't know if either of you two own your own home. home ownership's tough. Like, there's always somewhere something you got to do, some money you got to put somewhere. It's hard. So I do see, though, with inflation, cost of living going up, it's going to be harder to buy homes. I think interest rates are above 6% right now for residential loans. So think of the buying power. I mean, we have some homes here in Washington State that they're not very quality, and they're appraising it $500,000 and $600,000. Now, at 6 point something percent interest, it makes it really hard to buy a home, because you have to be in that $700,000 or $800,000 range here in Washington State, at least. And that boots a lot of people out, which I think will increase the demand for apartments.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because now I feel like the new generation just doesn't want to own a home anymore, because they want to be more transient, travel the world, be entrepreneurs. Like, it's something that I'm seeing a lot. And so I feel like apartments, it kind of just makes that a little easier for the next generation to be able to do that and not be tied down to a house.
And I will say, like, more and more people are becoming self-employed.
For sure.
I feel like the institution of like corporate America is being dismantled in a way where, because of the accessibility to the internet, you see a lot of people starting their own businesses. And as a self-employed person myself, I know how hard it is to qualify for a mortgage when you're self-employed.
Right.
Especially when you're self-employed and you're investing in real estate and writing off everything on your taxes.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. And that's something I didn't think of, but that is a fantastic point. I think you're spot on right there.
Because you can probably speak to this, because you've owned rental properties, and you've vouched for the purchase of rental properties based on your own income and tax return. Whereas in in the multifamily space, you don't have to. You have partners. You have other GPs that can vouch for that with their own balance sheet.
Yeah.
So the beauty of it is you get to write off more in your taxes, right? Because you're not trying to qualify for a mortgage on the residential side.
Yes, absolutely. One of the best things of multifamily is you have a team. You have this, it's not all you have this awesome team. So yeah, absolutely spot on.
Yeah, even as a passive investor, on the active side, on the passive side, you're not having to vouch for these purchases with your own credit score, your own income,
right?
Which is like game changing.
Huge.
You're not taking a hit on your credit. You're not having to prove you make so much money. You can literally write off everything that you make if you're able to with that. We got into the weeds with it a few weeks ago, but that real estate professional status.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So you kind of touched on a little bit about how you had to kind of come over this limiting belief of you weren't qualified to purchase commercial real estate. Are there any other limiting beliefs or maybe hurdles along your investing journey that you've had to reckon with?
Yeah, I think some of it when I was by myself, doing a lot of these things by myself, my goal was to create this, we'll call it a real estate empire. And so I could spend more time with my family, and I would have options. For some reason, I had to leave the fire department. Maybe it's I hurt my back and I can't be there anymore, or mentally I just can't handle it. Whatever it may be, I felt limited as just myself, but I was also spending too much time away from my family to build this business, to get into real estate. So I felt like, okay, no one wants to work with me right now because I'm building. I don't have anything. So I got to do this by myself. So my limitation was no one wants to work with me yet because I don't have a lot yet. I need to be super successful. Then people are going to flood in and want to work with me, but I have to build it first. But where I was suffering it was really hard to scale alone. And then I was doing the exact opposite of what I wanted. I would get off work and I would be absent from the family because I had all these things that I wanted to do. And I'm trying to build here, and so, my wife has been so great in the sense that she supports everything I do. I mean, like without even a gripe, and it's great. It's fantastic. But I sat there one day and I was kind of, it was I go on morning walks, right? And I was walking and I felt like this isn't what I wanted really. I didn't want to spend all this time away from them. The idea was to do this to spend more time with them. But I got so motivated to build something to one day have the time. I felt like I was losing all my time.
So what are you doing differently?
I say differently is I started working with a team of people, and I'm doing what I feel is what fits the life I want. So I picked a niche within multifamily, which is I'm kind of doing what we're doing right here, right? Talking about it, offering it to people like myself, and really anyone, showing them that you guys can do this. So really, I'm trying to bring on other investors to multifamily. And so I essentially decided, what do I want my life to look like? And then I within multifamily found a niche there that I could build that life essentially, which is in for me was bringing on other investors and raising capital to bring into these great deals. If I explain that well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly what I do too. I love to just tell people about it. When I was growing up, I didn't know anything about investing. I kind of talked about it in my intro a few weeks ago, but I didn't know anything about investing except you get single family homes and you rent them out. And now it's just like I'm bursting, out of myself to like tell people there's another way, and you don't have to actively be doing something, but you could also passively be doing something and then still getting great returns and tax benefits. So I totally on the same page with you.
Yeah, I found that I like talking with people, and I felt like my goal is to be with my family. So I thought if I could bring other people on board and I could raise capital for deals and bring people in, that would be my position within the multifamily team that we have. And I'll leave, I understand underwriting. I look at it because I want to make sure that the deals that we're getting into are quality. But ultimately I focus it where I feel that I'm best at. And I let my other team members that I'm working with do what they're best at. So then I don't have to take all my time trying to learn that and do that, because ultimately it's just a quick way to get burnt out and fail essentially. And then also be upset with yourself that the goal that you want, you're not going towards, because my goal is to be with my family as much as I can. And if I'm doing all that other junk, it's not happening.
Gosh, that's so true. Your two little girls are so blessed to have you as their dad. Not only are you going to be able to teach them, the joys of financial freedom and real estate investing that they don't teach in schools. That's like, Tony Robbins said whenever we were at his event, he said, don't endeavor. And I've said this on my mom's episode too, but he said, don't endeavor to give your kids what you never had, endeavor to teach them what you never knew. Mm-hmm. And I just still get chills even thinking about that. Like, not only are you a loving father and a present husband, but you're also like teaching them skills that are going to totally transform their lives, even well after you're gone. So that's really impressive.
I love that quote. Yeah, I love that quote. For me, I had such a great life growing up. My dad was such a great person. And I feel bad even saying this, but my dad was a very silent man. I never knew what he was doing. We never knew about his finances. And I don't think he wanted us to. I don't know why. I think he just wanted our life to be easy, which was great. But what he wasn't doing was educating me or teaching me, which is not his fault. Parenting is tough. You do what you do, and then you get to the other side and you're like, you hope you've done it right. Right. Yeah. But for me, I just like your quote you just mentioned, for me, it's like, I want to educate my daughters as much as I can about me and what I'm doing. And I hope I'm doing the right thing. I feel like I'm a good person. And so I want to bring them on board with me and hopefully teach them all along the way. And then ultimately, I think that even as young teenagers, they're just going to be better than me, and they're going to grow much beyond what I have. Not that I'm old, but I started a little older, we'll say. I just hope that they grow to be much better than me and they offer people much more opportunity than I have had the ability to so far and ever will.
Yeah. Love that.
Now, surely you have had some failures along the way. Is there anything, do you have any regrets so far in your journey?
You know, I don't think I have a whole lot of regrets. We've had a lot of difficulties. We've failed a lot. We've experienced a lot of pain through real estate. And I think a lot of it was just because we unfolded really fast. We started doing a lot of different things. And so when you're learning, you should be failing, and so I think it's not a regret, but one of my biggest failures, I think, is trying to do all this by myself, as if I thought I was going to scale this to the moon by myself. And though we did so well alone, just as the family, it, like I said, didn't come without a lot of pain and heartache and a lot of me being not present, which is not what I wanted. So it's kind of a regret, and it's also a failure. I should have been, speaking with high level people who were doing this, trying to get a team and a mentor right from the get go. That's kind of one of my biggest regrets and or failures, was just taking way too much time all by myself. Yeah. I should have been with good folks from the beginning who were willing to teach you, kind of carry you and get you to great places. Cause that's what we're all doing it for. Yes. Like this isn't just for me and my family. Like this is to offer to hopefully everybody. It's exciting. Like Andrea, like you were saying, like you want to tell everybody, you want to get everybody to understand this, cause it's good stuff. Yeah. It's good stuff, so.
Yeah. And I love telling my kids about it too. Like I'll give them pop quizzes and I'm like, what does investing mean? I love that. And like, I don't know if I told you, Rachel, a lot of my friends know this, but like when my son graduated preschool just a couple weeks ago, they asked, every single preschooler, what do you want to be when you grow up? And so one kid was like, I want to be a policeman to arrest people. I want to work at the church because I like giving food out. And then they're like, Dylan, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he's like, I want to be an investor because that's what my mommy and daddy do.
Oh, and I was like, him.
That's awesome. He just graduated preschool. So it's not just about teaching others, about investing, about real estate investing, but also our kids and leaving a legacy with them and them having a better opportunity than us. So I love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Justin,
that's great.
You are the founder and managing partner for Easy Street Equity. How did you come up with that name? What's the meaning there for you?
Oh my gosh. So I focused for a long time on like a business name. Like what could I have that's simple, catchy, but like easy to spell? And I felt like, I think it was Brandon Turner from Bigger Pockets that was like, man, don't waste your time on all those things and da da da. And so, but I sat there like, what could I use? What could I use? So what I came up with, again, on a morning walk, great things come to me on my morning walk. The street here that we live on is actually Easy Street. And so, so we live, yes. Yeah. So we live on Easy Street. And so I thought like, hey, it's kind of catchy. It's kind of cool. I mean, you could also think, maybe it sounds a little too like Vegas Easy Street. It depends on how you're looking at it. I don't know, but I thought it would be kind of easy to pronounce. You wouldn't mistake the spelling. And hey, I live on Easy Street. So I thought it would be kind of fun.
Well, I didn't know that story. And I love that story. When I first saw your company name, I was just assuming that it was a great way to communicate. Maybe this is just a fantastic byproduct, but it's a great way to communicate to your investors that it is that easy.
Yeah. Yeah. Right? Hey, that's another great reason there. But yeah, ultimately, the true reason is I live on Easy Street, oddly enough. I know, right? It's funny.
Is so great.
So how do people get in touch with you, Justin?
Yeah, so you can email me, and that's at justin@easystreetequity.com. You can find me on our website, which is easystreetequity.com. And I'll warn you about the website. Rachel, I know you've seen the website. We've kind of started changing things up a little bit. It's still what it is, but we've changed. We're working on some different colors, and we're working on some different fonts and all those things. So everything still works and everything's still accessible. However, it's a little iffy right now on its color platform and all that. So if you have folks that are going there, just be warned. It all works, but it's in progress right now.
Well, I think this episode won't be coming out for another month and change. So I
think good. I'm gonna get
time. It's probably in good condition as of this the publishing. But he does have a fantastic website, so go check it out. And then I also see here that the first 30 contacts to reach you at info@easystreetequity.com will get a free copy of Brian Burke's The Hands-Off Investor.
Yeah. So I thought, so we actually have a passive investor guide too. So if you hop on our website, you can download our quick little 12-page guide. But I think that right now, what I've read anyways, there's really no better book for passive investors to learn if you want to get really detailed than the Hands-Off Investor book. I don't know if either of you have read that, but
it's fantastic.
It's a great book. So yes, if you email me, maybe if we get enough, I'm sure Brian Burke would appreciate this. We'll get you his book for free, so you can get really dive into the passive investing.
That's awesome. We should get Brian on the pod.
Yeah, let's
do it.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah. It is a fantastic book, especially if that's what you're really searching for. You love your W-2. You're just looking for a passive way to make money, or you're looking to retire yourself and replace that active income. Hands-off investing is where it is at. I know Justin would agree with me.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is the goal for everyone, even us active general partners. It's the goal eventually to retire ourselves too. So we are well on our way. So yes, get in touch with Justin for those resources, or just if you want to pick his brain a little bit more, because he's a super interesting guy. We can't even cover it all in 30 minutes, but I know him personally, and he is just as wonderful as he sounds. Also, quickly, do you want to talk about Camp Leo and diabetes research?
Yeah, so I have been a type 1 diabetic for 30 years, majority of my life. And so my wife is a physician's assistant. So we both are in healthcare. We participate in Camp Leo here, which is in Washington State. And so, I thought it'd be cool if some listeners wanted to check it out, maybe even if it's just to check it out, but maybe offer a donation. Diabetics, it's a very involved disease, and it's difficult, but I try to get out there and educate these young kids that have diabetes that, hey, there is no limitations for your condition. You can do anything. And so for me, it has a special place in my heart. So we do a lot for diabetes education, Camp Leo, and I'm hoping one day to start my own little charity, because I see a lot at work. And not to make you guys run over too far here, but at my job, we go to a lot of diabetic patients, and we go to a lot of teenagers, and a lot of it's expensive, especially if you don't have insurance. The supplies and finding a physician, it's difficult and it's expensive. I hope that one day I can provide a charity of some sort to offer some of these folks who are really struggling the opportunity to donate supplies and whatnot. And I don't know what kind of limitations there are, because some of these are prescription based and whatnot. So it's not like I can just give people insulin, but if it comes down to test strips and all these things for people to check their blood sugar, I hope that I could one day provide that to folks who are really, really in need. But right now, mostly what we try to do is just educate young folks that, there is no limitations, and actually you're going to be more in tune with your body than anybody else, because you have to be.
Yeah.
And so if we can ingrain that in them very young, I think that they'll be in my opinion, healthier than most because they'll be so in tune with how their body is and who they are.
I love that. That's really sweet. I know a lot of, especially type 1 diabetics get diagnosed at a very young age, and it can feel like a life sentence, in a way where you're feel like you're forever just tied to the tubes and the pricks and the insulin and the jabs.
They've come so far with it, which is really cool. There's a lot of great technology, but ultimately it is hard, and I tell my wife, I fantasize sometimes about just like sitting down and having a whole pizza and a dessert and not having to worry about taking insulin or where my blood sugar is going to go or anything like that. So it can be difficult. And I've had plenty of days, especially long ago, where it's just like, I just don't want to take another shot. I don't want to do this. I don't want to. It can be tough, but ultimately there is a big part of me that I eat really clean. I always exercise. The technology's come really far. So there's a part of me that feels like I have to pay special attention to my body and I have to know how it's operating and how it's feeling all the time because I have this. So in a way, maybe it's a little bit of a gift that I can be so in tune and essentially in a way forced, but it's good to be healthy and eat great. So it's not all bad.
That's great. Well, we're going to link campleo.org in our show notes.
Awesome.
So if anyone wants to go check it out, just scroll down, click on that link. We're also going to have Justin's website there and his emails that you can use to reach him at. Justin, thank you so much for coming on our podcast. We so appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
You're just such a wealth of knowledge. So we really, really know our listeners are going to get a lot from this episode. Andrea, what do you think? Debrief with me.
Oh, I thought it was great. Yes. Yeah, so many things are so aligned.
Yeah, definitely. I just think reinforcing the idea that there is a better way and where you don't have to sacrifice anything that you love. You can actually get more back from it too. So do you want to plug our ebook really quick too?
Don't forget, we have an ebook on our website, goodgoodinvesting.com. 4 Steps to Financial Freedom.
Yes.
And you can download it there and subscribe to our emails. And then we will have the location of our meetup group very soon on the website as well. But feel free to reach out to us on any social media channels. And
without further ado, next week we will break it down again. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.